to the flu?
No,
No?
no. He was the only one that had it, I guess. And, let's see.
When you were a senior in high school, did you think that you wanted to work for some company, or you wanted to get married and set up a house?
Well, I went to teacher's training school
Oh, you did?
for a while,
Where was that?
and Adelaide Avenue.
There was a teacher's training on Adelaide Avenue?
Yeah, but I didn't like it.
Was it in somebody's house or a building?
A school building, like, I think it was a brick building.
It's still there, isn't
My
it?
personal, so I haven't been over that way lately. And,
What was it, were you...
Doris Moore went to, and, I just didn't like it, so I quit.
Now, Doris Moore wasn't Doris Van Wagner, was she?
Yes.
Doris Van Wagner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long would you have had to go to that training school?
A year, I think.
A year.
I went about 6 months, and I decided I didn't want to teach. So.
Was it because the money wasn't very good, or you
No, just didn't like it.
just didn't like it?
Didn't think I wanted to teach.
And was that okay with your parents?
Yes.
Whatever you wanted to do?
Yeah.
So is this around 1924?
24 and 25.
24 and 25.
Well, until 25. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were married in 1925 on
Okay.
Floyd's birthday,
So you and Floyd were married what day?
the 14th of January, 1925,
Where were you married?
in the Methodist in Kentucky with Methodist ministers. It's a parsonage.
Okay, now, is this the Methodist church that I know, or is it the previous one?
No, it's the one that's there now.
Who was the minister that married you?
Well, that wasn't that awful. He was there for a long time. And, well, I can't think of his name.
That's okay.
Yeah,
It was January 14th, 1920.
25.
25. Now, when you were growing up, did you go to church?
We had a little church there across from the cemetery. And, we used to have our activities from the school, like Easter and Christmas, at the church, our programs.
Is the church building still there?
No, it's torn down now. And I gave Floyd a picture of it.
When did they tear that church down?
Well, it got so the minister used to come from Cheshire, and they'd have services in the afternoon. And of course he came with a horse and buggy. And it got so I guess I don't know, it didn't work for some reason. So.
What denomination was that?
I don't think, just a new
Community church?
like I think, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you know when they tore it down?
I don't remember, no. It was after we were married.
Was the church building used as a farm building, or they just took it down?
They just took it down. There was sheds there too for horses
Mm-hmm.
and buggies
Mm-hmm.
on both sides of it.
So you got married at the Canandaigua Methodist Church.
Yeah.
Where did you set up housekeeping?
We lived with Floyd's folks for a year.
Okay, now Floyd's parents...
Anson and Florence Gage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now Anson Gage lived on 247, didn't he?
He lived just below, let's see. Yeah, 247, that's where we lived.
Is it near Dot and Jean Raymond's?
Across this road there.
Okay.
Toward the corners. Yeah, that was where Anson lived.
Okay, now that was your father-in-law.
Yeah, we lived there for a year. And then we bought Bert McGaffey's house where we lived afterward, and went there in the spring of the second year we were married.
Now you say Bert McGaffey's house. Is that the house that's on the wall?
It's the house that
there?
burned. Yeah,
Okay, up closer to Reed Corners.
yeah,
So you were with Anson Gage for a year,
yeah.
and did your husband and his father run the farm?
Yes.
How many acres were there, do you know?
Well, his father had 100 and something, I think. And there was only 50, I think, at our place at Burt McGaffey's.
Okay, so at your father-in-law's there was 100 acres. What were the main crops?
Well, they used to grow beans and hay and grain. And there was an apple orchard there, across from Gene Raymond's at that time.
Was the apple price very good then, or
I
no?
don't think so. I think they were Baldwin apples or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were there four of you living in the house, or more than that?
No, well, Freddie was there too. No, he got married the same year we did. So he was,
Is Freddie Floyd's brother?
yeah,
Now Floyd had how many brothers and
just
sisters?
one,
Just Freddie.
yeah. And he married Ethel Willis in Cheshire, and then they lived over there.
Okay. So you were on the Anson Gage place for about a year,
Yeah,
and then you moved up to Burt McGaffey's.
yes. And then he worked Ella McStravick's place too, right next to us, and that was 20-some acres, I think. 28 or something.
This is Floyd did this?
Yeah.
Now, when you moved up, where did Burt McGaffey move?
He had died,
He had died.
Emery's brother.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so you bought that little farm?
yeah.
Okay. And then you also farmed another 20 acres of Ella McStravick?
I think it was 28 or something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At Anson's place or at your place, did you have one or more milk cows?
Well, they had some cows and chickens down there. Yeah.
So what did you have at McGaffey's place?
Well, we had chickens too, and we used to hatch chickens. And we had a hatchery. And,
So you would hatch the chickens and then sell them?
yeah,
How old would the birds be when you sold them?
just baby chicks.
Baby chicks.
Yeah.
What years are you talking there?
Well,
Is that like 1928, 30 along in there?
probably. Because, and later, Georgia Bigham used to have a hatchery too. And I think Floyd bought his hatchery incubator. And we had a building to put it in, built one.
When you moved out to Anson Gage's place, that road, what was it called?
Reed Corners Road,
Reed's Corners Road.
yeah.
Was it a cement road or dirt road or in 1925?
It was a dirt road, I guess, because they paved it after we moved into McGaffey's place. They had a stone road, and it was terribly noisy, I remember. And I don't remember when they put cement on.
When you say stone road, what was noisy, when the cars went by, or?
Yeah. It was after having just the dirt road, I guess.
Was it pretty muddy?
No,
When it
I
was
don't
dirt?
remember that, but I know. In the wintertime, I remember the sleighs that they had, bobsleighs, because the road was never opened, you know, except when they shoveled. And I remember they took Mrs. Braham to the hospital one time. They had a shovel to get her out there in the bobsleighs.
What was wrong with her?
I don't remember, but I know she was sick and they had to take her to the hospital.
Huh.
Julius Graham's wife.
He ran the store?
They lived up, I think where Raymond Royer does, up that road.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
You were keeping house then in the old McGaffey place.
Yeah,
How many children did you and Floyd Sr. have?
4.
4 children.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Jean and I know Floyd.
Bob
Bob, okay.
and Dorothy.
Okay,
Dorothy
Dorothy.
lives in Albany.
What's her last name?
Favita, F-A-V-I-T-T-A. He was a teacher over at Gorham.
Okay.
Yeah. She's coming up tomorrow. Her birthday's next week.
Oh, very good.
And weather didn't sound too good for the middle of the week, so she's coming tomorrow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When did you like living in the country, or would you have rather been in town, or
I always lived in the country, so I didn't know any different.
didn't know any different?
Yeah.
What was the crop that was the source of most of your income? Was it the chickens, or was it?
We used to have carrots and beets and hay and grain.
When you first came out to the Reed Corners Road, how much of the work was done with horses?
Well, the first year we were married, Floyd's father bought a tractor, so they had a tractor.
So before that, it was horses.
Yeah. Steel wheel tractor, yeah, John Deere. Yeah,
That had to be quite an improvement.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Did the men talk about the farming much with the women, or they just not really?
No, I don't, maybe Anson did, I don't know, but I didn't talk much about the farming.
You started to mention a cake that you made that wasn't a big success. Was that when you were living at Anson's?
Yeah, and Freddie was there. That was before he wasn't married yet either, because they got married after we did.
Uh-huh.
And they all had a big time. I think I must have baked it too much or something. I don't know. I know they had a big time about it.
Would that be on a wood stove or?
Yeah.
Wood stove?
Yeah.
When you lived up at the McGaffey farm, you were only half a mile or so from Reed Corners.
Yeah.
From your home to the store, what were some of the names of the people that you remember there?
Well, let's see. My memory's not too good about some things.
Was Claude Deere
Yes, Claude Deere.
lived along there?
Yeah.
What did he do for a living?
I guess he farmed a little bit.
Farmed a little bit?
I don't think he had much land.
Okay.
Yeah. Mary and Claude. His mother's name was Mary. And
Could you speak up just a little bit
his
louder?
mother's name was Mary and Claude.
Okay.
And I think Jason Kipps lived over across from Ellen Mary for a while.
Now who's Ella?
Ellen Mary McStravick.
Oh,
And
McStravick.
their brother John used to work for Leon Powell, I think.
Okay.
And
How about closer to the Corners on the same side of the road? Can you remember any other people besides the Deers?
I can't remember their names.
When you were there in 1925, there was no post office in Reed Corners,
No.
was there?
No, Benny. Who was the
So you had
town clerk lived there?
Benton Pierce?
Yeah, Benton Pierce.
Did they call him Benny?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Some of them did anyway. Yeah, Benton Pierce.
Now, when you say T. Benton Pierce, what his place used to be a post office?
It did? I don't know.
Okay.
Not when we were there.
So you got your mail by somebody delivering it with a car.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were a girl growing up, or after you got married, did you ever go to the Reed Corners Fair?
Yes. After we were married.
After you were married. So that was just the last couple of years
Yeah,
that the fair existed.
yeah.
I'm very interested in the fair. Tell me what you can remember about the fair.
Well, I think it was 26, the year that Floyd was born, and I made some stuff for the baked goods and cans and things, I think, and I don't remember too much about it. I think they had some races or something. And
How did you get into the fair? Were there a couple different ways?
we went in from George Gage's way. Yeah.
Was there an old metal bridge there?
Yeah.
That,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
when you crossed over the bridge, what was right ahead of you? There's just a field there now.
I
What
think
did
there
you
was
see?
an orchard there at that time. Some trees.
Okay.
Just a small one maybe before you get the entrance to the fairground.
Was there a fence all the way around the fairgrounds or no?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that either.
What buildings to amount to much were there?
Well, there's where they had their exhibits.
Was it enclosed or just covered? Was it like a building or?
I think it was a building. It's awful, I don't remember that too much. And,
You say they had different exhibits there for cooking and sewing and stuff?
baking, yeah, and, yes. And I had some canned things, vegetables, I guess, probably, and did some baking for it. At that time, I could bake by then.
Were you self-taught? Trial and error?
I guess so. Yeah.
At the fair, did you remember, did they exhibit animals and?
Chickens. Yeah, because Laverne always had chickens.
Laverne Gage?
Yeah.
Now what relation is he to you?
Well, he and Floyd were double cousins because their mothers and fathers are brother and sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember whether there were a lot of people there or was it getting kind of sparse?
Well, I think there was quite a good crowd. Yeah.
Was it open about 3 or 4 days in the fall?
I don't know that either.
Okay.
I don't remember how long it was open.
Did you win one of the prizes?
I think so. I made pies, and I think I got something for that.
Ribbons or money?
Well, I don't know that either.
Okay. When you told me about when you were a girl and you went to church, now was your husband's family, did they go to the Methodist church in Canandaigua?
No.
No?
No.
When did
In fact, I don't think they belong to any church.
when did you and Floyd start going to church?
Well, we went to Congregational Church in Canandaigua. I had a great uncle who lived on Granger Street, and they belonged to the Congregational Church, and he got us to join there. So we joined, I think the first year we were married, we joined there.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed there until the children got old enough so that they could go to Sunday school. Then we went out to Reed Corners.
When you went to Reed Corners, you went to the Congregational church?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they were both churches at that time. They had the Baptist, but we were Congregational.
on an average Sunday, can you think of roughly how many people there would have been there?
Well, there were quite a few, I think.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Who was the first minister you remember? Do you remember Esperson?
Yes. When we went to the Baptist, when they were having the services at the Baptist church, the children remember going out in the back room there for Sunday school. And then I don't remember how,
Is this when you were doing part of the time in one building, part of the time at the other?
yeah,
Okay.
they had services like, I don't remember, it was 3 months or what. in one building, and then they went to the other.
What was the reason that they did that? Had this groups gotten smaller and they brought them together?
Well, I don't actually know. But they had quite a good attendance, I think.
Who was the first minister that you remember in Reed Corners? Do you remember Profio
Yes,
or Asperson or Fordham?
Fordham,
Who would have been first?
Fordham, I think.
Fordham? Forrest, see a big tall fella?
Yeah,
Forrest Fordham?
yeah.
Where would he have lived?
Well, they lived in the parsonage for across from the Baptist church.
Okay, but wasn't that the Baptist parsonage, or did,
Well, I think that whoever was minister lived in it.
and so they,
Ross's or minister there, and he was minister in Cheshire too, and they lived there. So, but I can't remember all that. And then there was one from the south, the ministers from the south.
is that Kersalka?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I don't remember all their names.
Uh-huh. So, most of the time that you were out there, the churches would meet in one building for several months and then switch back and
Until
forth?
they tore the Baptist church down.
Okay. I probably have it written down. Do you remember about when that was that they tore the Baptist church down?
No, not really.
Now, you folks were congregational.
Yeah.
Without getting into names, were there some Baptists that didn't want to tear the church down?
I don't know. There might have been. It was a nice church, I thought. Yeah.
But it just didn't make sense to keep them both
Well,
going?
they couldn't afford to, probably.
Okay. And they sold the church to one of the Blakesleys?
I don't know. Is that, did Bob?
A Blakesley lived there. Tell me about your family in the Grange Hall.
Oh. Well, I was pretty disgusted when they sold it and tore it down. Because it was a nice building and it would have been a good community place.
Did your family get involved with the Grange when you came out to McGaffey's house, or when did you
Well,
get involved with the Grange?
I joined the Grange in Cheshire when I was 14. And I just got my 80-year certificate.
Really?
Yes, it's right there.
Okay, I'll look at that later. Where was the Grange in Cheshire?
Well, it was, I don't know, it was on the west side of the street, and the building's still there. I don't know what they use it for.
Okay.
Whether they use it for community building or not.
So you came to the Reed Corners Grange around 1925?
When we were married, 1925.
What did I say?
18.
1825?
Hardly that.
Yes. When would you say that the Reed Corners Grange was the healthiest?
Well,
What years would it have been the healthiest?
well, from the time I joined until, I don't know, for a long time. It was good for a long time. And in fact, until we went to Florida, I think.
What were some of the positions that you held in the Grange?
Well, I was juvenile Grange matron.
Were you the first one?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't remember who was first.
Tell me what the juvenile Grange matron did.
Well, you had charge of the meetings.
For the kids, or?
And the programs and things that helped with them. And you just had charge of the children. Yeah,
Was that in the section off the main part?
yeah, yeah.
Do you remember hearing when that part was built?
No,
for the Grange?
No, no.
That was added on later, wasn't it?
It was there when I joined the Grange.
How often did the Grange meet?
Twice a month, I think.
What day of the week did it meet?
Let's see, I think ours met on Wednesdays.
So this would be Wednesday nights?
Yeah.
What would there be a devotional to start a Grange meeting?
Well, they had the flag salute and then they had a chaplain on all the officers, same as a senior Grange had. And
Did the junior Grange meet separate from the senior
No.
Grange?
they had the meetings the same night.
You say both Granges met
on
like
the same
Wednesday?
morning. Yeah.
How long would a meeting last?
Well, it would depend on how much business the subordinate Grange would have, and then a program afterwards.
What do you mean by subordinate Grange?
The seniors,
Okay.
the parents, and like that.
I know they had smorgasbords, but did they have like refreshments every Wednesday night?
So they'd have something, yeah, coffee and cookies or sandwiches or something. Yeah, they would appoint different people to have charge of them, you know.
Would they cancel Grange if the weather was kind of bad?
No, we never did, I don't think.
Just came if you could?
Yeah.
Huh.
You never belonged to the Grange, huh?
No.
So we don't know much about it.
I remember the building
Yeah.
for the smorgasbords and the dances.
Yeah.
Who was there? One or two men that were was it the overseer? What was the name of the head person?
Master.
Master. Who were some of the masters in the 20s and 30s and 40s?
Well,
Floyd?
Ralph Ellis and George Harris, and I don't remember who else, and Floyd was, and on the last end, Bob and Jean were both masters, and then Floyd we were county deputies at one time.
Okay. You and Floyd Sr.
Yeah, we had to visit every Grange in the county.
Now was that called Pomona Grange?
There was Pomona, no, that was a separate. Pomona met 3 or 4 times a year.
What's Pomona?
That was a higher degree than the regular Grange, 5th degree. And state was 6th, and I was the lady assistant Grange, lady in the state Grange. And we put on the 6th degree, and before a state Grange session, you go around different Granges and
That had to be quite an honor.
yeah.
So Pomona wasn't the same as the county Grange?
No, that was higher, the next higher.
So would the Pomona Grange be in charge of like Ontario and Yates County?
No, they each had their own Pomona. Yeah,
Where was our Pomona Grange?
well, they meet around different Granges, like in December, March, June, and September. And then,
Was Pomona like a district?
yeah, and from the other Granges were officers in the Pomona. And then there was state Grange. And when I was lady assistant, I escorted Nelson Rockefeller, who was governor, to the master station.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Where was that function?
that was
What-
the eastern part of the state. I forgot just where it was.
Was Rockefeller the governor then?
Yeah, like Glens Falls or someplace.
Wow.
The eastern part of the state.
Roughly what years would that have been?
Well, we were deputies in the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Tell me about the smorgasbords.
well, they'd have committees in charge of the suppers,
Was it a fellowship thing or to raise money or
to
both?
raise money, yeah,
To pay for the heat and what have you?
yeah, the repairs that they needed for the building, yeah.
Now the Grange was originally built as a wagon shop, wasn't it?
I don't know, didn't know that.
And how did they heat it to when you were there?
They had a big
Coal?
furnace,
Was it coal or
no, coal, yeah.
were you involved when they added on to the back?
No,
Oh, no, that was already done?
yeah, yeah. That was done before I was there.
Now some of the smorgasbords, didn't they charge you for every little plate you got?
Well,
Couple cents a,
they had at first, and then they just charged a flat amount for the meal.
okay.
Yeah,
How often would they have the smorgasbords?
well, quite often, maybe once a month.
Did people get tired of working at them or were they kind of fun?
Well, we used to have good times, you know, it was a social time, like working,
People used to come from quite a ways away, didn't they?
yeah. Yeah, they used to come from Candigo a lot, you know. The other Grange people would come too, you know, from
T-
other Granges.
Tell me about the minstrel shows.
Oh dear. I don't really remember too much about that. I know they had a blackface.
Mm-hmm.
Juanita used to have, be in that,
Juanita Bailey.
yeah. I don't remember who all.
How often did they do them?
Oh, not, I don't remember them having very many of them.
Was that to raise money as well?
Well, it's just, whether it was just for entertainment or what, I don't know. I think
Okay.
it was,
Okay.
yeah.
And a lot of square dances?
Oh, yes.
Besides the country gentlemen, who played at the square dances?
Well, let's see. They lived in Flint.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. They were friends of Floyd's. They used to live on Evergreen Street, I think, some of them.
Was the last name Barry?
Jimmy Berry used to play.
He lived on Algerine Street, didn't he?
I guess so. But these were, oh dear.
Well, that's okay, if you think of it later.
Yeah, one of them worked for the oil company down in Geneva there.
Mm.
And the other one lived in Flint.
Were there many activities at the church back in the 30s, or was the Grange the big social
I
event?
think the Greens was, yeah, the church used to have suppers, but not very often.
Was there a group called Christian Endeavor still going, or had that disbanded?
I don't remember that.
That was back in the 20s, probably before you were there.
Yeah, must have been.
Was there a group at the church before the Crusaders
I
class?
don't think so. I think we started it. I think Fordham was there.
When Forrest Fordham was there,
I think so.
there was it a Sunday school group or a social
It was
activity group?
our Sunday school class, and we had meetings maybe once a month at homes.
You'd rotate homes?
Yeah, people would volunteer to have it, you know.
I'm very interested in this aspect of the church. Who were some of the people that you remember from the Crusaders class?
Ethel Powell, Fred, and
Lillian?
Lillian wrote, your folks, Howard and Mary, and Harris's analysis, and well, Bill and May Henry, and
Were any of the Raymonds involved or no?
no, they weren't in that group. I think they might have been in the younger group
Okay.
with
So you'd meet about once a week at homes,
once a month.
once a month.
Yeah.
And would somebody have a scripture and somebody else would lead a discussion, or what happened at a Crusaders class?
Well, I don't remember. We had, somebody would have charge of the program, you know, for the evening. And then the host would serve lunch of some kind.
Supper?
Oh, well, no, not supper, but something, salads and something.
Uh-huh.
And,
Did it meet in the summertime when people were real busy?
sure, doesn't matter.
Didn't matter.
We would meet every month, I think.
Was it like a Sunday night thing, or?
No, it was during the week, I think. I can't think what night we met on.
Would attendance be pretty bad if people were haying or something?
Well, I think there were pretty good attendance most of the time.
Did they meet sometimes at the parsonage?
No,
No?
not that I know of.
Did the minister come too, or no?
Yes, some did mostly, I think.
Do you ever remember up near the parsonage back in the 30s hearing about some Indian graves that were found?
No,
Never heard about that?
no.
Huh. What other things do you remember of interest about the church there in the corners? Do you remember when they tore the sheds down for the horses?
At the Recon?
Yeah.
No,
No.
no, that was before Ron's over there.
Who was your favorite minister all the years you were out there in Reed's Corners?
Well, I think I liked Fordham pretty. Yeah.
Is he still living?
I don't think so. They lived in Albany or near there someplace, and I think she died. Dorothy sent me a clipping of her death, I think. But I don't know about him.
How long ago was that? Her
Well,
dying?
It was probably 2 or 3 or 4 years ago.
Was he was he young like you when you were setting up housekeeping? Or was he older?
Well, he wasn't very old, I don't think. I don't know.
In 1925 and 26, when you were at the church out there, who would have played the organ or piano in the two churches?
Mildred Gage, did she play?
Well, Gerald did, so his mother Mildred.
I don't remember.
Did they have an organ at the Baptist church?
I don't think so, did
Just
they?
a piano?
I think so. Yeah.
So, to the best of your knowledge, it might have been Mildred Gage.
Well, if he played the piano, I don't know.
Did they have adult or junior choir in the 20s and 30s at Reed Corners?
I don't remember that.
Was your family involved with the Lord's Acre, where they put aside a field?
Yeah, I think so.
Tell me about that.
I don't remember too much about it. I remember the Lord's Acre, but I don't remember too much about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
1925 to 30, was the apple evaporator being used?
I think it was a little while after we were married,
Okay.
but I don't remember how long.
Now in 1925, were there either of the blacksmith shops still going?
No, I don't think so.
Where could you buy gas in Reed Corners when you were living at the McGaffey home?
I don't know if they had a gas station there or not. I don't remember. I don't think they did. Not for a while, anyway.
Okay.
After a while, I think they had one. but not early.
Who, was that at Bram's or at the store
Well, let's see.
or Conklin's?
No, there's somebody else around the store. I know you first or there. When the kids were little, and she sewed, and she used to make dresses for Dorothy. Mark Hopwood.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopwood said it.
They had the store there.
Yeah.
Was it the second building or the third building from the corner?
It was where,
Was it where Braila's had the store?
yeah.
Was it a one-story building?
No, I don't, I think they lived in the part of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, don't remember where, but I think they
Do you ever remember there being two stores in Reed Corners?
No. Well, Brailer's built a little building, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you ever remember hearing about a Maccabee Hall in Reed's Corners?
No, but there was one in Cheshire. That's what it was. Where they had the Grange Hall. It used to
Okay.
be Maccabees there.
What, I've heard of the Maccabees. What were they all about?
I don't know really,
Uh-huh.
but I know they used to call it the Maccabee Hall. Yeah. But I don't know anything about it. What they did or...
Now, your kids would have gone to school at District Number 8?
7.
Where was that?
Oh, mine was number 7 where I went to school.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know the number, the one at Reed Corners.
I think it was number 8.
Oh, okay.
So tell me about the Reed Corners school.
Well, they used to have pet shows there. The kids would take their pets. And, well, I don't know. It's just a nice little school.
Who were some of the teachers that you remembered?
Mildred is about the only one.
Mildred Conklin.
Yeah.
Okay. In the 30s, when your kids were there, roughly how many kids would have been at the school?
I haven't the faintest idea. There's quite a few.
Was there one room there, or were there 2 rooms that were used?
Just one, I think.
Just one.
Yeah.
What did they use in the other room, do you know?
I don't even remember there being 2 rooms.
Did you ever have to serve a hot lunch there, or didn't they have hot lunches?
No, the kids took their own lunches.
Kids took their own lunches.
Yeah.
Did they put on some productions for the parents?
Yes, I'm sure they did. And they had the parent-teachers meetings.
Now that would be to see how the progress was of the kids?
Yes, and see what was going on. And they would have program or something maybe.
Now you said that your husband was on the school board. Was that for the Gorham School?
Yes, yeah.
Tell me when the Reed Corners School closed and why they closed it.
Well, because they built the school over at Gorham and they sent all the kids from around the area to Gorham. And I don't remember just what year it was.
Was there discussion about merging with Canandaigua instead of Gorham?
I don't know. There might have been, but I don't know. Oh, I think some of the kids were in the 4th or 5th grade, the younger ones, when they went to Gorham.
Did they, before they went to Gorham, when they went to Reed Corners, did they walk to school?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Except bad weather when somebody takes them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you never remember, do you ever remember a building where it used to be the hotel? You remember a building there?
It was part of the building anyway. Didn't somebody live in it for a while.
Yeah. They kind of tore part of it apart?
Yeah. Jesse Wood lived there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then did it burn down afterwards?
I can't
Or
remember.
did they tear it down? I don't know. I don't remember.
Do you remember any stores or buildings other than the two churches, the evaporator, and the store in the school? Are those the only buildings you remember in Reed's Corners? Were there any shops or?
Let's see. Was it a blacksmith shop or?
There were two of them, but you don't remember them? There was one near the creek.
Yeah. His name?
Pardis?
Jim Pardis. Yeah.
What was going on with him?
I don't know. I just know the kids used to tease him.
Did he work on stuff there?
I don't know.
What'd they tease him about?
Well, they used to pull pranks on him, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember Halloweens in Reed Corners?
No.
Okay.
They used to take toilet paper and put it everywhere.
But you don't remember hearing that there were two stores?
No.
In Reed Corners. Okay.
That was before my time, I guess, over there.
Do you remember having experiences or seeing gypsies out in Reed's Corners?
No.
Camping?
No. No.
I guess Dorothy Spore talked about there being some gypsies that would stay near the corners.
Oh, I don't know about that.
When World War II came around, were your kids in the Victory Corps?
Yeah, they used to go from school to help people. Yeah.
Did you have kids come out to your farm and help?
I think so.
So they go to school like half day, and then they go out and help?
Yeah, yeah. And Floyd was just about the age, as long as we were on a farm, why he didn't have to get involved.
And Jean was younger, right?
Yeah, Bob and Jean were too young.
What boys besides Gerald Gage went from Reed's Corners area to World War II? And Johnny Gage, that's right.
They were only ones, I guess.
They were the only ones you can remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember, did you know the Whites, Fred White?
Yes.
Did he live near Reed's Corners?
Didn't they live at one time? They lived on the...
DePue Road, did they?
Yes, yeah, he did.
Okay.
For the Heart Society.
Yeah.
Yeah. He married when Alma, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you remember John or Sarah Bigham?
No.
Okay. What do you remember about George Mumby?
I don't remember.
Don't remember
Was he
him?
your great-grandfather?
A great-great-grandfather.
Howard's grandfather?
Yes.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
What do you remember about Charles or Isabel Mumby?
Well, that was Howard's mother and father. We used to go over there for meetings. Like, Howard and Mary lived with them, and we used to have Crusaders class there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were enough older that you didn't interact with them too much, probably.
Guess not.
Okay.
I remember Isabel. Yeah, nice lady. Yeah.
So your husband was on the school board in Gorham.
Yeah.
Did he find that rewarding?
I guess so. He wouldn't have stayed on as long. I don't know how long he was on even, but quite a few years.
So you folks were active in the Grange and the church,
Yeah,
and he was active in the school board.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
We used to go to the basketball games when the kids were in school. And whatever they had, activities,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So your daughter married a teacher.
yeah.
What did he teach?
Science,
Science.
yeah. And then,
Was this when Prof. Hyatt was there?
yeah, yeah. And then he, after they were married, he went to, oh, let's see, down near New York to teach, where they had the horse races down in Goshen.
Okay.
He taught down there, and then he left there and he was in the State Department in Albany.
Oh, really?
He retired from there in the Science Department.
What year did you and Floyd sell the farm?
In '68,
You sold the farm in '68. Now, you had a home in Florida?
yeah,
Where in Florida?
Fort Lauderdale,
Fort Lauderdale.
yeah.
When did you first go down there?
Well, we had some friends who were from Penn Yan that lived in Florida, and they had relatives up here. They used to come in the summer. In fact, it was relation to the Raymonds. She was a Raymond, and they used to come out in the summers, and we met them, and they had a place down in Fort Lauderdale, and they had asked us to come down, so we went down one winter for a little while, and we went a couple of years there, I think, and other people used to come. Let's see, I can't think now. Well, anyway, we decided that they had other friends that came from up north to stay, so we couldn't keep doing that, so we bought a duplex apartment, and it was next to a Methodist church.
In Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, and eventually they offered to buy it for a Sunday school room, and so we sold it and had a house built in the western part of Fort Lauderdale, and they were just beginning to move west of Fort Lauderdale, build a lot of places.
Now, so
And
Floyd and Gladys got married, and did they buy that farm between Mina Dewey's and Blakesley's?
Willis Gage owned it.
Willis Gage?
Yeah.
What relation would he be to John and Gerald? Uncle?
No. It was another branch of the family.
Another branch of the family.
Yeah, like Dee Dee and Willis's father would be cousins, probably.
I'd met Dee Dee. Was Dee Dee George?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that there was a Methodist chapel somewhere where that field was between Dewey's?
No.
And in 1865 there was a Methodist chapel there,
Oh, I never heard
but
that.
they must have torn it down
Yeah.
in the 1800s.
Huh.
Did the Gages buy any buildings from the Reed Corners Fair when they sold it off?
I don't know that they did.
Uh-huh.
I think there weren't that many buildings anyway, was it? And they're probably not very good condition.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Huh. What were some of the couples that had kids about the same age that your kids were, that you used to socialize with?
Well,
besides the
no,
Grange?
May and the Harrises, and,
So this would be Ronnie Harris and Claire.
yeah, yeah, and Dorothy and Margaret Henry were very good friends,
Okay.
and,
Margaret Henry being Dowie?
yeah,
Is that her nickname?
yeah,
Okay.
they were in the Girl Scouts, and Anna Frankish had charge of that, and so they used to go on camping,
Oh, did they?
yeah.
Was the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts sponsored by the church?
I don't remember who sponsored them, but I don't think, let's see, the Boy Scouts. Floyd was in the Boy Scouts. He's the only one.
Do you ever remember a baseball diamond in Reed Corners
No,
where they might have played baseball?
no.
No. Okay.
I know the kids used to, his churches, Salem had a baseball team, and Bob and Jean played, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Bob got his collarbone broke.
He slid or something?
Somebody ran into him, and they took him to, it was a hall, I think,
Okay.
and they took him to Geneva to have us, and Floyd had to take him back the next day because they didn't do it right. So they had to do it over again.
Oh, reset it, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. What has been the high point of your life in these 95 years?
Oh dear. I don't know. I think the Grange, maybe, because we went a lot of places and made a lot of friends all over the state. And the family, I guess. Because our children and our grandchildren and my great-grandchildren are all well and healthy. Not one of them had anything wrong with them, you know.
How many great-grandchildren do you have?
20,
20 great-grandchildren.
yeah. Alan has 4,
Okay.
and, Floyd, let's see. And
Joni,
they don't have any, Joan or Karen.
Joan and Karen, okay.
No. And, Dorothy's son, Steve, is in Missouri, he has 2. And Michael's in North Carolina, he has 2. And Lee has 2 in Albany. And then Pam, Bab's daughter, has
Yep.
3. And Scott has 1. And Craig and Scarlett both have 3 each.
Well, you do well to remember all those.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted to ask you, and I forgot to ask you earlier, did you trade much at the store in Reed Corners?
Yes, quite a lot.
Who were the folks there 25 to 30?
Well, the Hopwoods were there. And I remember the price of bread went up to 10 cents and we were all very unhappy about it. Yeah. I don't remember what it was before that.
Were they involved with the Salvation Army, Hopwood?
Not that I know of.
Okay, who was there after Hopwood?
Oh dear.
Was it Harder?
There was
Julian
some,
Harder?
there was some man, I think, in between. Let's see, who was it? I don't remember.
Okay.
But the Harders I know were there. But after that.
Now this is in the building where Bram's had the
Yeah.
store.
Uh-huh.
What kind of things would you buy there as opposed to in Canandaigua?
Well, we probably didn't go to Canandaigua that often. And we used to get our bread and I don't know, of course we didn't have to buy too much because we had chickens and pigs and beef, so we had our own eggs. And
Did you buy ready-made clothes or did you make your own clothes?
I bought ready-made. I hated sewing, but
Did they sell any hardware type things at the Reed Corner store, or was it all food and
I think it was food.
flour and stuff like that?
Yeah. But, I don't know. I don't think we had. My folks used to take wheat to the mill and get flour made. And
When you were out in Academy?
Yeah,
Where was the mill?
Canandaigua.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we were about quite a ways. In the wintertime, they'd go down the lake road from where the cemetery is and go to Canandaigua that way, because we used to go in the bobsleigh and heat bricks to keep our feet warm.
I bet.
Yeah. It was practically an all-day thing, time we went and came back.
Well, I thank you very much for your time. This has been very interesting.
Yeah, well, I was going to show you the picture.
Okay.
People came from Phelps, Wide Awake Green.
The phallus, or the ithyphallic male figure, that is with the erect and very large penis. And that was a symbol of really fertility and happiness and wealth.
No baker's oven was without its erect phallus to ensure that the bread rose. It was simply something that you saw everywhere. And again, something that was both, that had great power, was considered to be apotropaic, to ward off the evil eye, which was very much feared.
The erotic art wasn't created only to ward off evil. Sometimes it was just for fun.
There's that element of sexual surprise that the Romans loved, or transsexuals. You know, we'll find the hero Hercules dressed up as a woman, you know, and they thought that that was hysterical to see the strongest hero sort of made into this effeminate servant of a Libyan queen.
Early excavators also uncovered graphic art in the city's sex shops. There have been at least 9 brothels found in this city of 20,000. Didn't know what to do once you got there? Suggestive wall paintings advertised house specialties. These images found inside Pompeii's main brothel acted as a picture menu for waiting customers. Sex services were also offered a la carte at many of the town's inns.
There's the caponas, the inns, which also equally offered prostitute services for the night as a part of the package for visitors. So on some level, this was a kind of practice that simply was spread throughout the city.
The business of prostitution was also conducted at many of Pompeii's taverns. Here, one could not only find a companion for the night, but also fill up on a fast food type meal and sample Pompeii's locally produced wines. Descriptive frescoes and dice found in back rooms suggest that some tried their luck with games of chance, though historians say this type of gambling was illegal here. The nightlife was just as thriving for Pompeii's elite.
You have this sort of wealthy, rising middle class in Pompeii, and they spent a lot of money on their self-representation, on going out for pleasure, and it seems that they invited each other quite a bit and showed off with private banquets.
Frescoes found in the dining rooms of some stylish villas show lavish dinner parties, drinking games, even the lyrics to drinking songs. It also seems that Pompeians were never shy about expressing themselves. More than 10,000 bits of handwritten advice, political snubs, and confessions of love were written on walls and buildings around the city. Graffiti also rooted for favorite gladiators, and on some brothel walls, gladiators told of their own sexual prowess.
Their various gladiators are named and are described as answer to a maiden's prayer.
But perhaps the most relevant wall marking uncovered was this message: nothing lasts forever. And it didn't. The end did come with a few warnings, in the form of a devastating earthquake in 62 AD and some minor tremors. But no one could have predicted the apocalyptic fury of August 24th, 79 AD. On that day, Mount Vesuvius could hold back the building geologic forces no longer.
It really erupted out of the blue. The sky was blue, there were no dark clouds, there was no rumbling, so it was a shock.
Pompeii was quickly covered in 9 feet of volcanic ash. Anyone not killed by the continuous rain of ash and rock was suffocated by heated gases that came the next morning. Just on the other side of Vesuvius, the resort town of Herculaneum met a similar fate.
What's really sad to see are the families, the parents with children, you know, they're clinging to each other. Some of them actually have their hands to their mouths. They're in a gesture of momentary expression, and they're caught as if in a snapshot.
The sudden burial of these cities sealed their secrets in a time capsule for the next 17 centuries, preserving them from weather and vandals.
It's an extraordinary experience to be able to deal with a site like Pompeii because of the immediacy of the life that was stopped there, and one can actually enter into the past.
There is something about those streets of Pompeii that when you wander down them, you're not exactly sure that you're not going to run into somebody in a toga or a tunic.
Vesuvius has erupted several times since then. The most recent eruption with casualties came on April 9, 1906. 2,000 people were killed. Though Vesuvius has left a deadly trail in its wake, the voices of Pompeii and Herculaneum have lived on to kiss and tell. The tale of these two cities is not so much one of death, but one of life, a very colorful life, filled with ancient virtues and plenty of vice.
It is perhaps appropriate, then, that the slopes of Mount Vesuvius are covered with vineyards. The wine produced by that region is known as Lacrima Christi, the tears of Christ.
Coming up,
You'd be dead.
She sank in a storm. But the Monitor is one of the storied vessels in American history, credited with transforming naval warfare. Our program looks at this one ironclad, its role in the Civil War, and the current efforts to raise the ship from the bottom of the ocean. A team of divers now hopes to recover the Monitor before she's totally ravaged by rust and underwater currents. Join us now as the History Channel presents Raise the Monitor.
This is all that remains of the ship that revolutionized naval warfare. In 1862, an epic Civil War battle took place between two iron-covered ships, the Monitor and the Merrimac. A battle that forever changed warfare on the high seas.
The Monitor is important in world naval history because it was unparalleled in naval architecture. It was a complete departure from the traditional wooden warship, the broadside warship. But she signaled the death knell of the wooden warship.
The battle really did change naval warfare forever. And about a week after the battle, there was a report that was sent out at the Admiralty in London. There will be no more British ships built of wood.
Less than a year later, the ship was lost at sea. Now, after 138 years, we travel to the ocean floor in an effort to raise the USS Monitor. Summer 2000. Navy divers on this barge are trying to recover an historical treasure 225 feet below the ocean surface, the USS Monitor.
Push him out! Down two! Hold him out! Left surface, mark your time first time.
The Navy is trying to save one of their own.
The Monitor was important because it was a very radical departure from traditional naval architecture. In the middle of the 19th century, most vessels were very traditional sailing ships. It actually was the first naval vessel in the United States that totally abandoned